Well, hello there, humans. I'm Bushka, and today we're going to be ranking weapons, ranking ARs in PUBG Mobile. We're going to base it on the stats of the weapon, its place in the meta, and well, basically those two things. We've got 5 tiers. We've got top tier Conqueror, then Ace, then Potato, then Hot Drop Only, and then Delete. Go home, you're drunk. I'm going to be doing all the ARs, including the AN94, because I have a sneaking suspicion they'll whack it back in the game at some point in time. The AN94 is the Abacan, the AMS Abacan. It's not an AN94. That's what it's copied off. Anyway, long story short, I'm going to do some rankings. Don't forget to subscribe, like the videos, share these. If you have any thoughts, leave them in the description below. Hell knows, I base things on stats and facts, and a lot of people are just fanboys of certain weapons. You know what I'm talking about. And they're going to come in here and just start ranting by looking at a screenshot. So let's find out. First and foremost, let's go this AN94. This was a very, 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 very ambitious weapon that PUBG Mobile put in the game that did uh, have two modes of fire, automatic and burst, and it was meant to be a burst fire, I don't know, replacement for the M16, where the M16 should sit in the meta. But it did less damage than a normal weapon that's a 5.56 AR. It did 39.9 instead of 40.9, which the M4 does. And it had the recoil of, I don't know, a rabbit on I don't want to say something naughty. The recoil of a very, very bad weapon. I was about to say something really inappropriate. Anyway, big rabbits. Uh, it's in the delete go home you're drunk section. That is really, really bad. I don't know why it was removed from the game. Well, I do. It was shit, and they didn't want to balance it, but it was terrible. The only thing it had going for it was it had the same bullet speed as a 5.56 AR, but it was subpar for the course everywhere else, 909 meters a second. Let's do the AKM now. Now, this is a weapon. When last time I ranked this gun, I think I put it either in Potato or Ace. Um, the AKM has been the recipient of some incredible buffs. It's been buffed at least twice that I remember, maybe three times in the last 4 or 5 years. How long have I been playing this game? 5 years? Nearly 5 years. Originally, it always had that 47.9 base damage, which is the biggest damage you can get on an AR. And it always had the crazy headshot damage. So the AKM's claim to fame is it can one shot someone without a helmet on. It does 110.1 base damage and it does 77 damage to someone in a level 1 helmet. Now that's pretty big considering all the 5.56 ARs max out at 94 headshot damage. Now, normally you get multipliers on these weapons. The AKM got buffed in terms of bullet speed, etc., but the multipliers on the AKM's arm and leg hits have been buffed ridiculously. And it's become a pretty special gun. Now, Fates used to shit all over this thing and carry on like a pork chop about it, and we always disagreed. But I think even he has come back to Jesus a little bit on the AKM because what the AKM does is 32.4 damage to limb shots. That means if someone is running in level 3 armor and you hit them for 21.56 in the vest and you aim for their legs, you hit them for 32.4. And that is a massive, massive amount of damage to be doing to someone in level 3 armor. Not to mention the fact that they also upped the bullet speed on the AKM to 750 meters a second. Now, it was previously at 714. That means that it doesn't have to be led as much and the bullets get there quicker, which is why I'm putting the AKM in Conqueror tier. Now, the time to kill on the AKM is very, very good. For a weapon that does 0.096 seconds per round, it has a time to kill of 0.288 seconds. That's how long it takes to clear a level 2 vest. Some people ask me why I don't do rounds per minute on these things because it doesn't make any sense to me that weapons that reload every 30 rounds and have different reload speeds will do different numbers over a minute. And then you can just extrapolate out 0.9096. Like this is how long it takes to fire one round 0.096. It's very, very quick. It's not that quick for an AR, but it's about the same speed as an M416 and does a lot more damage. AUG. I did a lot of testing recently on the AUG because I found something crazy out when I went and looked at the recoil. Everyone thinks the AUG sucks. Now, the AUG has one big negative. Its reload speed. Its reload speed is so bad, and it's hard it's hard to really categorize this with a pure number, because just because you have bad reload doesn't mean you're a bad weapon. But what happens in the meta is people will run double AR, and if you're switching and you run out of ammo or something and you're running a sniper rifle, you've got to wait for a full reload cycle. Whereas someone with a UMP M4 and is pushing you, they're going to snap an AUG. But the AUG has much better recoil than a 5.56 AR, any other 5.56 AR, apart from the G36C. It also has 937 meters a second bullet speed, whereas your M416, your Scar L, your QBZ95, your FAMAS, your G36C, they all have 909 meters a second bullet speed. So the only thing holding the AUG back is its reload. Like it's literally the only thing. It's got better recoil than any of the other 5.56 ARs. It has the same time to kill as the other 5.56 ARs, and it has the best bullet speed of any 5.56 AR. So I'm stuck wondering why I don't want to put it into Ace because it's got pluses everywhere else, but the reload speed sucks. So I'm going to leave it in Ace. Okay. This is so tough. This is why these tier maker things. Where do you think it should go? Because I honestly, I think the AUG is better than the M4. I'm gonna stick it in Ace. M16. Look, the M16 did have some glory days. There was a time back in the day when you could put an 8X on an M16 and the burst fire was very, very good indeed. Where you could reliably hit 2 shots out of 3 on a target at like 150, 200 meters using an 8X, which was kind of broken. Those days are long, 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 long gone. It was one of the first things that got nerfed in the game. By the way, like for those of you who say that jump punching is a feature, do you know that they've removed so many different moments, so many different elements that were allowed you to run silently? There used to be things with the Uzi. There was a one with the pan. There was another one where you could manipulate throwables so you could run silent. They've all been removed. The reason they haven't removed jump punch is it's not a fucking feature. Excuse the language. Is it something that is intrinsically broken with the mechanics of the game? Jumping would be telling the server that you're making a noise or you're making no noise while you're in the air, and you're basically desync jump punching your way across to make the server not think you're making any noise. Like it's never been mentioned as a feature until some random dev on a live feed said, no, that's intentional. Where was I? So that got nerfed a long, long time ago. Sorry for that. It's very, very famous as Paraboy's go-to, but unfortunately, it's hot drop only. You could use it as a secondary gun, but any of these weapons that is a secondary weapon, you're not putting that anywhere better than, hot drop only. The FAMAS. FAMAS. Where do we put you? This is a gun that a lot of people don't know much about. It's Livic only, and it only does 37.9 damage. What it does do, however, is an obscene imitation of like an AR SMG. Its rate of fire is a round every 0.066 seconds. That's 30% faster than an M416. So you end up with a time to kill on a level 2 vest of 0.264 of a second. It still has the same amazing bullet speed that all the 5.56 ARs get, 909 meters a second plus. But it has the worst recoil in the game. So while it has elite levels of time to kill, like to put it into context, the only AR with a better time to kill than this is the Graza. Like it is the second fastest time to kill weapon in the AR section. But its recoil, honest to God, like you'd kick it out of bed if it was a supermodel just for that recoil. I'm putting it in the hot drop section. I used to love it. I used to use it all the time. Oh, it's still effective. It's still effective in CQC. It has a role, so I'm going to put it in potato. It's not hot drop only. You can use this, but as soon as they're outside 25 meters, you just want to face plant. Like it's bad. Okay, moving onwards and upwards. The Grasa. The Graza. Graza. I say this wrong every time, and I upset all kinds of Eastern European humans from one Australian to another Eastern European Australian. I apologize. Um, this is the long-time crate weapon, the PUBG Mobile for the 762 Brigade. It's been joined in crates by the LMG, the Mark 14. There is a lot of 762 full auto going on in the crate. Its rate of fire is incredible considering it has the same base damage as the AKM, and yeah, the same base damage as the AKM. It's got what 25% faster rate of fire, 20% faster rate of fire. So its time to kill a level 2 vest is 0.231 seconds, and the AK's is 0.288. That's a big chunk of change. Um, it doesn't have the AK's incredible. It doesn't have the AK's incredible limb shot ability. So we're going to rate this one Conqueror anyway. I've been leaving the Graza behind on Livic for AKMXTs, and that's a hard thing. But if I had to bet my life on it, I'd go with the Graza instead of the AKM. And that's just all there is to it. The only thing I really don't like about it is it's got absolutely crap um, bullet speed of 714 meters a second, but it does have better recoil than any of the other 762 ARs. The AK, the M762, its recoil is vastly underrated. It's not hard to handle at all. You can put a 3X on it and it will stay down. It just needs to be led a lot more than a 5.56 AR. The G36C. I can see right away I'm going to have a problem here because these two are already in Conqueror tier, and it's it's going to get crowded up there if I don't pay some attention because I may have shot myself in the foot here and gone off a little bit too early because anyway, let's just play this string out and see where we end up. The G36C, 909 meters a second bullet speed. Outstanding. Absolutely incredible recoil. It has zip horizontal recoil. There's nothing there. You can run a G36C with a compensator and an angle grip, and you will get about as much deviation as a train line in terms of horizontal left and right recoil. It goes straight up, but straight up is not hard to handle. And it's got all the hallmarks of an incredible, incredible 5.56 AR. Bullet speed, easy recoil, but super easy recoil, and very, very reliable and versatile. You can use it to tap fire, you can use it at long range, you can use it for CQC. So I'm going to put the G36C above the AUG. I think it's the best 5.56 AR. The recoil is very, very special. It's got SMG-like levels of horizontal recoil, which means you can spray with this thing in crazy, crazy ways. Anytime I'm on Karakin, everyone's trying to run G36C, not M416. Anyway, I mean, it is what it is. Mark 47 Mutant. Far out. I love the Mutant because it's fun. And we haven't talked about the fun factor here, but it's got this like, okay, here's where you use the Mutant. The Mutant is like a shotgun. When you're in trouble and you need to win, but you don't have any options, like it has to be one shot to make it, the Mutant is going to get you there if you hit everything. It's like the works 100% of the time, 25% of the time, because it fires 2 AKM rounds at 0. By that I mean, so you're firing an AKM versus a Mutant. You've both got level 1 helmet, level 1 vest. If you fire the Mutant and you hit headshot body shot as the AK hits its first shot in your head, you win because it fires 2 rounds at 0 seconds. But as soon as you start getting into longer engagements, the Mutant is absolutely terrible. So I'm going to put it in hot drop. I love using it, but it doesn't mean it's good. Okay. I'm trying to detach myself from the reality of what we're looking at here. It also has bloody horrible bullet speed. It's got the same bullet speed as an M762, which is 697 meters a second. That means the further away they are, the worse things are going to get. Okay, you with me? Cool. The SCAR-L. Sorry, the QBZ-95. The reason I call it the SCAR-L is it is the gun that is the SCAR-L replacement on Sanok. One of the funny things about this weapon is when Sanok first came in, all we had was the stats from PC. And so we believed that there was a difference. And this was one of the guns that made me research and do testing and discover that, in fact, all the 5.56 ARs had the same rate of fire and that we were just being hoodwinked by the armory that had different stats for power and longevity and high jump skills. Like it's just the armory was just a crock of crap. So the QBZ-95, however, didn't get buffed. So we're looking at a pre-buff SCAR-L. And to be honest, that puts it right here in the potato range. It's standard. It's a standard 5.56 AR with none of the benefits of an M416 or an AUG or a G36C's recoil, and none of the benefits of the SCAR-L's improved SCAR-L's improved, what do you say, damage. The SCAR-L got a damage buff, right? I would not recommend it in any way, shape, or form over any of those weapons. Okay, where are we at now? The M416. Let's talk M416 because this thing is going to cause me more hate and grief than anything else. There are so many people that are just like, M4 forever, it's the best. Let's put it up here. It's incredible. The M4 has one thing going for it that the AUG doesn't have, that the QBZ-95 doesn't have, the G36C doesn't have. Well, the G36C might have it, but I've never tested it. I should. Hockey was talking to me about it like a month ago. When you fire any of these weapons, there is the first round, and then there is a thing called the animation kick, which is the distance between the first round and the second round. You've seen it. If you fire like an M4, M16, it goes bang, one shot here, and then two shots up here. The M416, when you're prone, when you're lying flat down, it has zero animation kick. It just goes bang, 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 bang. If you fire an AUG at that range, it goes bang, animation kick, bang, 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 everything after it. Because it, you like how I'm doing the noises, bang, 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 bang. Because the M416 has no animation kick, when you spray prone, it is broken. I don't know if that's intentional. Because even DP28s and things that have bipods, they still get animation kick. But the M4 doesn't get it. I think it's broken, but hey, PUBG Mobile doesn't change things often that people pay money for. And there would be like swimming pools all over China based on the Glacier M4 skin. Anyway, so I'm going to put this. It doesn't have the best recoil. The recoil of the G36C and the AUG are both superior to the M416. I've tested it. I've done videos on it. I've shown you graphs. I've measured the distances. It doesn't have as good a recoil as a G36C, but it has that broken animation kick thing. I'm going to leave it here in ace. The only thing that I would say is that if this was a list based on value to your second weapon, I would put the M416 up there. By that, I mean you can run a SCAR-L with an M416, or you can run a UMP, or you can run an Uzi, or you can run a DBS, or you can run an XM1014, or you can run a bolt-action sniper rifle or a DMR. Because what the M416 does is allows you to have flexibility and versatility in your loadout. Shit, that's hard not to put that up there. I can't do it though. I can't do it because the AKM has special damage abilities that allows it to absolutely rip people apart in CQC. Same with the Krauser. The recoil on the G36C is insane, whether you're upright, prone, or like just running around, flailing your hands, yelling Oklahoma, Oklahoma, Oklahoma. But that's not the case with the M416. So we're going to stick with that. Okay, onwards and upwards. What do we got now? We've got two left. We have, and we're going to finish this with, we'll do the Beryl M762. The M762 is, geez, it's in a shit place right now. I'm sorry. It's just, this is where it is. The M762 used to be my go-to AR for CQC. Everything else has kind of risen around it. Um, it did get buffs way back in the day. The best point in time for the M762 was when there was a big discrepancy between 90 frames per second and 60 frames per second. There was one weapon in the 762 range that actually improved when you ran 90 frames per second. That was the M762. Its rate of fire dropped down from, I think it was 0.094 seconds per round all the way to like 0.86, which meant it was really quick and still maintained all the damage of a 762 AR. 45.9 base damage, which is 5 points higher than an M416, which is like what, 8%, I think? 8%? 12.5%, 8%. Which is really good. Its bullet speed is crap. It doesn't have the limb damage of any of the AKM sexy stuff. It's been power creep to the point where I'd probably run a SCAR-L over the M762. So it's got bad bullet speed. Its time to kill is now at 0.282 seconds, but that's on a par with an AKM hitting chest shots. It's worse than a Graza. It's on a par with the SCAR-L. It's worse than a FAMAS. And it gives you none of the gimmicks that you get from an AKM, like a 32.4 limb shot, or the SCAR-L, like incredible recoil and incredible bullet speed. So yeah, I'm just going to keep the poor old M762 in the middle, right there with the QBZ95 and the FAMAS, which is sad. But that's where it is. The SCAR-L. Finish on a high note. This thing got buffed. Its recoil is better. I've done the testing. It's ever so slightly worse than the M416, but there is not much in it, right? It does not have the M416's gimmick of lying down and having no animation kick. What it does have is an extra point of damage. So an M416 does 40.9 base. The SCAR-L does 42.0. It has 909 meters a second, so it's great for all-round versatility. It allows you to run any other loadout you want in the meta. But what it does is it hits break points easier now. So how do I explain it? So an M416 firing into a level 2 vest will do 24.54. Your player model has 100 hit points. If you are doing under 25 damage, it means it takes 5 shots to clear the player model. If you're doing over 25 damage, it means it takes 4 shots to clear the player model. So the SCAR-L getting an extra point of damage, which is only like, wow, it's like 2%, 3% worth of damage, 2.5%, means that it hits that break point. So where an M416 firing at the same rate would take 5 shots to clear a level 2 vest in CQC, a SCAR-L takes 4 shots to clear a level 2 vest in CQC. And that's not a 2% damage increase, that's a 20% damage increase. Which is terrifying that these numbers are so close and yet they're so freaking important. It's not such a big deal on headshots. It doesn't really come in on headshots. But when you start talking about vest, level 2 vests in particular, the SCAR-L wallops the M4 because of that. But I don't think that's good enough to put it up here in Conqueror tier. I think its recoil is worse than the AUG and the M4. It legitimately is. It's only pennies on the nickels on the dime, or whatever the American saying is, cents on the dollar. But yeah, that's a hard sell to tell me that I'd rather have the incredible recoil or the crazy gimmick of limb damage or just the flat out ridiculous raw erotic energy of a Graza. over a Scar L. So I think I'm pretty happy with those tiers. Up Conk, we've got AKM, Graza, G36C, Ace, we've got AUG M4 Scar. And of those, the one that I'd probably struggle not to put up there would be the AUG, not the M416. The AUG is closer to there than the M4 because the AUG's recoil is crazy. If you don't believe me, go and watch the videos I made of like AUG versus M4. I measured the pixel distance between each individual round and then did average recoil between horizontal and vertical. And the AUG kicks the crap out of the M4 and everything else. It's got legitimately crazy good recoil. The G36Cs is just better. Um, the FAMAS and the M762 have like the worst recoil. The FAMAS and the M762, I didn't mention that. The M762's recoil is terrible. I really hate that the M762 is not higher for me. All these weapons here are serviceable. You can use the FAMAS, you can use the QBZ95, you can use the M762, but I drop them for all these weapons above. And I would sometimes keep the AK over everything else because I've been running the AKM as a DMR lately because you can hit stuff with the AKM at range. And even if you're hitting limb shots because it's so inaccurate, you're actually doing massive damage. Think of it from this perspective with the DMR. Your SKS into a level 3 vest is going to do 23 damage at range. Okay. It'll do 31 damage into a level 2 vest, like in close quarters. So at range, you're doing about 20 something with an SKS, low 20s. If you hit someone at range with an AKM and you hit them in the leg or you hit them in the arm, you're doing low 30s damage. That's pretty good. And I've gotten some really good results running double AKM with a 6X on the second one and just tap firing it at like 150 meters. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that list. If you did, I'll happily do another one. Look after yourselves. Stay safe in the battlefield. Until next time, bye for now. I'll sub up, I suppose I should say. Subscribe them, etc., etc.